Hey, I'm Pastor Joe. I want to talk to you about resurrection. This Sunday is Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday. And before I talk about the good news and the awesomeness of resurrection, there is so much bad news right now. There is depressing thoughts, grieving, people descending into madness about fears and loss of what life has been and what life will be like later. And this pandemic has really brought the worst out in a lot of people and in their minds. Reminds me of in literature class in college, I studied Edgar Allan Poe, and he, in my opinion, is the kind of the epitome of godlessness and hopelessness and celebrating death and destruction and mayhem. He even wrote a poem about a pandemic where instead of sequestering yourself and public, distancing yourself, the main character of this poetic story throws a big party and death enters in unknowingly, and spoiler alert, the end of this poetic story, everyone dies. He writes another poem called The Raven, much more well known, and it's this author considering the loss of love. He loses his love of his life, and he descends into madness, and at the window comes this raven tapping at the window, and this raven only says one thing throughout this whole poem, and it's this loss of hopelessness and loss of joy and loss of love. This raven comes in and it says nevermore, again and again and again, nevermore. And maybe that's where you find yourself thinking about these things, nevermore. Like, what's life going to be like? The loss of love and joy and hope. You hear at the tapping of your soul and in your mind this voice saying nevermore, and that's bad news. The good news is that this Sunday we will celebrate the resurrection. We will eventually get to put aside these things, hand sanitizers and the masks that we've been wearing. And I want you to think about resurrection this Sunday, what you've missed out on. If the resurrection is real, the resurrection is true, you've missed out on absolutely nothing. And the joy, the hope that's been taken away, the love that's been taken away, if we remember the resurrection, well then, we don't have to think about that. The joy of the resurrection is that Jesus even destroyed the monster death. And there is so much hope and life and joy in that. So remember the resurrection going into this Holy Week, going into Sunday. God bless you. Amen.